Many married women have at some point or another said, "I don't know why my husband won't talk to me." Recognize that you are not alone if this is where you are right now. Men often cease communicating in their marriages for a variety of reasons. For instance, when their wife offends them, some men cease communicating in their marriage. In any case, it can be frustrating at first when the husband avoids speaking to the wife. After all, poor communication can cause marriages to fall apart. Since you can't read minds, the only way to understand your partner's emotions is through open and regular conversation. If you've ever said the phrase, "my husband ignores me," there's no reason to freak out. It is not unusual for some men to cease communicating in their marriages because men and women communicate in different ways. Knowing what to say when your husband is silent is crucial. Continue reading this article to learn what to do when your spouse stops talking to you in your marriage and how to get him to start talking to you again. Consider the following explanations for your husband's possible silence. My husband and I don't talk to each other. So, is it possible that he is upset? Men's failure to communicate is frequently caused by their irritation with their wives. Of course, there must be a reason why your husband is upset with you. You should review some of your husband's other attitudes if he stops speaking to you. For instance, if he's furious, he might avoid sitting next to you or ignore you at home. Your hubby is making you pay. Some men use domestic violence to retaliate against their relationships, while others avoid them. Men may cease speaking with you in order to punish you for an offense you committed. You could not even be aware of your offense, which is strange. Some men would rather ignore you or avoid you since they aren't used to having constructive dialogues to resolve problems. He believes that if he abruptly cuts off contact with you, you will come to terms with your errors. This strategy doesn't usually succeed because the wives are unaware of their transgressions. She can also believe incorrectly that the husband's behavior is the result of another factor. Your hubby needs more time with you. The phrase "my husband won't talk to me" or "my husband ignores me" is frequently used by women. Men frequently cease talking to one another in their relationships because their women don't pay them enough attention. Your husband can feel ostracized if he thinks you're not listening to him as much as you formerly did. He believes that cutting off all lines of communication is the only way to get you to pay attention to him. Although it might not be the ideal option, that is the quickest approach to convince your husband to change his opinion. Therefore, if your husband seems to be keeping his troubles to himself, it may be his attempt to get your attention. Your hubby dislikes conflict. Your husband avoids discussing issues in order to prevent arguments. Since it's difficult to imagine a grown-up being afraid of any conflict, this may sound weird. Because they are afraid of potential disagreement, many men quit talking in their marriages. This might qualify as a loving gesture. How? It's simple to understand. Your husband cares for you so much that he is afraid that if he brings up the issue, you two would fight. Instead, he would rather remain silent and wait for the problem to go away on its own or for you to make amends. Therefore, if you ever think, "My husband doesn't talk to me," or "My husband won't talk to me," know that you are not alone. He can be motivated by a dread of conflict. You don't show your hubby enough gratitude. The fact that most men believe their wives don't value them sufficiently is another strong reason why they quit speaking in their marriages. That leads to the spouses telling everyone who would listen, "My husband won't talk to me." Alternatively, "My husband doesn't talk to me." The least a guy should ask for in return for giving his wife everything is respect. Your husband might reject you if you don't give him this or if you give him less of it. When some women claim, "My husband won't talk to me about anything," their husband's fear of his emotions may be the cause. Situations where the husband and wife are not communicating frequently occur early in a marriage. At this point, men take some time to comprehend that they now have a woman with whom they may discuss anything. Men don't always talk a lot as women do, to reiterate. As a result, they would rather remain silent than express their emotions. In summary, if your husband won't discuss issues, he may be worried about the outcome or how you will react. No matter how resilient you may believe your husband to be, there are instances when he doesn't take pride in his errors. As a result, your husband avoids discussing issues because he feels embarrassed. Another problem that occasionally surfaces in a marriage's early years is this one. Keep in mind that you're still getting to know each other. Even if you have been dating for a while, marriage is a quite different experience. Because they don't want you to recognize their flaws, males stop speaking in their marriage. Know of where you are in your marriage. Your husband may not want to discuss issues because of your decision to have children or not. One crucial choice that the couple must be willing to compromise on in their marriage is whether or not to start a family. Your husband may wish to wait before having children, even though he loves you. That is your immediate solution if you and your husband recently had this conversation and then all of a sudden he stops talking to you. In this circumstance, knowing what to do when your husband is silent could help you avoid some tension. To get back on the same page, all it takes is another discussion on the subject. Couple expressing empathy for one another in some marriages. Thoughts like "my husband won't talk to me" or "my husband doesn't talk to me about anything" are common. They typically occur while a man is focused on other aspects of his life. That does not imply that he no longer values his marriage. He is simply more passionate about other aspects of his life, which helps his marriage go more smoothly. For instance, a man in his late 30s or early 40s concentrates on increasing his income for his family. A spouse may avoid discussing issues in an effort to give his wife and kids a secure life. The main cause of a husband's refusal to discuss issues or connect with his wife is frequently that he is too preoccupied with himself. Yes, while some husbands prevent their husbands from interacting, others are just plain egotistical. When a spouse is extremely self-centered, he only sees his wife's fault and doesn't take other aspects into account. He consequently just considers himself, his requirements, and his desires. Therefore, it makes little difference what you do because your husband is happy to keep his distance from you. Your husband thinks you can't help him with his current issues. Once more, one of the key distinctions between men and women is that the former frequently think that every communication should have a point. They hardly ever converse without offering solutions. Because he believes you can't solve his problems, your husband is hesitant to talk to you. He therefore prefers to remain silent to communicating with you. While most women find this to be unjust and self-centered, it does occur. Because their spouses were powerless to intervene when they encountered issues in the past, some men quit talking in their marriages. Why? Because they don't see any possibility. Guys occasionally stop communicating in their marriages. You experience it when you have previously had conversations that are similar. For instance, your husband may have expressed displeasure with one of your attitudes to you. Any person would naturally give up after numerous unsuccessful tries. Unfortunately, no two people can behave in the same way. As a result, you could find your husband's techniques odd. In an effort to earn your attention, affection, and care, they employ a strategy of withholding it. The fact that this is an unhealthy way to live with your partner must be made clear. Your hubby is putting distance between you two. One's husband puts up a barrier to communication when he won't discuss issues. Men may choose to keep their distance from their wives for a variety of reasons. He is weary of the marriage, for one thing. He might not value marriage, which is another potential explanation. Other times, it's your husband, not you, who is at fault. Sometimes, a husband's silence toward his wife indicates that he wants to leave the marriage and is tired of it. His preferred strategy is to stop speaking to you and so leave a large communication gap. With time, he believes you will grow less dependent on him. One of the most common causes of marriage failure in today's society is a lack of communication. When partners make errors, admit them, and work to fix them, a relationship develops. Recognizing this fact will assist you in creating a happy marriage and family. However, if your husband chooses to avoid you when problems develop, it indicates that he has to improve. What should you do if your husband won't communicate with you? Your marriage may be saved if you know what to do when your husband refuses to talk to you. For information on how to get your husband to talk to you, read the following suggestions. If for whatever reason your husband won't talk to you, you should chat to him instead. Telling him that you cherish your marriage and care about him will help you get off to a good start. Then, calmly inquire as to the issue's nature without blaming him. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel.